Some people say that our reality has a resonance of 432 Hz, also known as the heart chakra, and that this resonance is sacred. It is the heartbeat of the earth. I have concluded that they are right, but this tone, 432 Hz, is much more sacred than people know. Do we humans have the desire for war and destruction? Or do we just let some guide us in this direction? What is wrong with the world of man? What is wrong with us? The legend began this way. Paul Joseph Goebbels was a German Nazi politician and Reich minister of Nazi propaganda in Germany. He was one of Adolf Hitler's close associates and most devoted followers. Known for his skills in public speaking and his deep violent anti-Semitism, which was evident in his publicly voiced views. Amongst other things, he advocated progressively harsher discrimination, including the extermination of the Jews in the Holocaust. He ordered in 1939 to replace all tuning forks to the frequency 440 Hz. Before that period, instruments were tuned to 8 Hz lower to 432 Hz. When you compare the same composition in 432 Hz and 440 Hz, there is definitely a difference. There are many theories why we still listen to music at 440 Hz. Some even claim that 432 Hz is in harmony with the vibration of the universe. And now we are somehow blocked from this so-called channel. Does this claim has validity or not? We better find out the answer. This topic of the change from 432 Hz to 440 Hz in our contemporary music has become a kind of a myth. It is unclear and people are not quite sure what to think about this subject. Just putting blame on one man seems vague and deserves another kind of approach. Hearing diverse opinions and arguments from both parties has never hurt anyone. A musician strikes the fork and tunes the string of the instrument representing La, or the key of A. From there, the musician can tune into all other notes. Today's standard fork produces a vibration of 440 Hz, or 440 cycles per second, due to its chemical compounds. The argument about this subject in recent years is that it has been deliberately altered and has a conspiracy around it, in the fact that a standard adjustment has been made. Some people who researched this topic propose that this change was officially approved because they discovered through a study funded by the Rockefeller Foundation that determined that 440 Hz music was good for making people work harder and promoted personality traits more in tune with the character of Spock of the Star Trek series. These characters are based on pure traces of the left brain that stifle creative thinking and nullify emotions. It is clear why these traits would be desirable in Nazi Germany during the Third Reich. It would also explain why modern music, which changed to the 440 Hz standard in 1939, had such a negative effect on today's culture. We see an increasingly prominent advertisement on television shows today, where these left brain traits are presented as cool and a model to follow. Is this something we should worry about? Much is made of the fact that 440 Hz is unnatural and creates discrete disharmony for listeners. The argument raised is that when the two frequencies are examined in cymatics experiments, the patterns show that 432 Hz creates distinct forms that indicate that they resonate with nature. The 440 Hz tuning creates indistinct patterns that reveal a lack of coherence and a sense of disorder. In the course of my research, I have discovered that these arguments are well presented and make a lot of sense. But what is on the other side of the coin? A coin always has two sides. Let's start with the official records on the tuning aspect of instruments throughout history. A440 or A4 is also known as the Stuttgart pitch, which has a frequency of 440 Hz, is a musical note of A above middle C, and serves as a general tuning standard for musical pitch. The International Organization for Standardization classifies it as ISO 16. Prior to the standardization of 440 Hz, other frequencies were standardized upon. Although not universally accepted, it serves as the audio frequency reference for the calibration of acoustic equipment and the tuning of pianos, violins, and other musical instruments. Before the 1700s, it was very difficult to tune instruments with each other, until the tuning fork that was imagined in 1711 in England by John Shore, who was trumpet of King George. The pitches of musical instruments produce change over time due to heat and mechanical wear and tear. So until the tuning fork was invented, there was no simple way to make tunings consistent among different regions and even performances in one region. However, even after the invention of the tuning fork, there was no single standardized tuning. But all changed with the invention of the tonometer by Johann Heinrich Schiebler, who lived between 1777 and 1838. After several meetings of organizations, the standard became 440 Hz by the indication of Schiebler himself. One of Schiebler's famous tonometers can be seen at the French Polytechnique. The tonometer consists of a series of 66 body-mounted tuning forks, ranging from UT2 512 vibrations to UT4 staggered from 8 to 8 vibrations, and can be heard for more than a minute and a half. With this method, there is only to count, not to appeal to the accuracy of the ear. The apparatus preserved at the Polytechnique includes 6 series of 12 tuning forks. All of the tuning forks are numbered and signed with Koenig's initial K. Schiebler was a music enthusiast who has made himself famous for his acoustic discoveries. He devised a system to easily tune the instruments, even for an untrained ear. When two bass sounds are simultaneously produced, the vibration numbers of which differ little from each other, we hear alternations of strength and weakness, which succeed each other at equal intervals. If these alternatives are close enough, the strokes are only distinct. It was by using this theory that Schiebler imagined the process for tuning organs. This man has changed the music industry forever, and because of his influence, we still use his recommendation of standard A as 440 Hz. If someone is to blame about a standard pitch, it's definitely him and not Joseph Goebbels. It was only in 1936 that the American Standards Association recommended that the A above middle C be tuned to 440 Hz. This standard was taken up then by the International Organization for Standardization in 1955, and it was reaffirmed by them again in 1975 as ISO 16. When you do a deep research on this topic, you will realize that there is no conspiracy. What actually exists is a pattern of development towards industrial manufacturing that dictated the standard tuning. Imagine all orchestras, with all of their instruments using a different tone. Nowadays, most of all commercially produced contemporary music is tuned to A at 440 Hz. Nevertheless, most symphony orchestras simply ignore the standard and tune to 441, 442, and sometimes 443 Hz instead, while orchestras specializing in older music may sometimes tune in a tuning close to the one for which the piece was originally written, which may range from 415 Hz to 470 Hz. The tuning of instruments is more a question of taste. Some people like it better at 440 Hz, claiming that has a brighter sound. But of course, the change to a standard tuning of 440 Hz made some composers upset, because they used a different tuning for their compositions. One of them was the famous Italian Giuseppe Verdi, who used 432 Hz tuning for his compositions. And that is why the frequency of A at the standard of 432 Hz is known as Verdi's tuning. 432 Hz is an absolute concert pitch standard, which is based on middle C, or C4, being set to 256 Hz rather than 261.62 Hz making it approximately 37.594 cents lower than the common A440 pitch standard. It was first proposed in 1713 by the French physicist Joseph Sauveur and promoted by Giuseppe Verdi in the 19th century, and it was then advocated by the Schiller Institute in the beginning of the 1980s. This tuning, of 432 Hz, is also called scientific pitch and is not used by concert orchestras, but is still sometimes favored in scientific writings for the convenience of all the octaves of C being an exact round number in the binary system when expressed in Hertz. And probably this is the reason why the argument has made to recent years is more a question of mathematical precision than other thing. But this mathematical precision is what made the research a lot more interesting. The number 432 has special properties, and it has been involved in mysticism over the years. For example, it is a sum of 4 consecutive primes, being 103 plus 107 plus 109 plus 113. It is exactly 3 gross, where gross is 144. An equilateral triangle, whose area and perimeter are equal, has the area of exactly the square root of 432. So you can see the repeated pattern. The number 432 has the 4 primes, the 3 equal sides of the triangle, and the number 2 of the square root, 432 again. According to Ananda Bosman, international researcher and musician, archaic Egyptian instruments that have been unearthed are largely tuned to A at 432 Hz. Ancient Greeks tuned their instruments predominantly to 432 Hz as well. Within the archaic Greek Eleusinian mysteries, Orpheus is the god of music, death and rebirth, and was the keeper of the ambrosia and the music of transformation. His instruments were tuned at 432 Hz. Giuseppe Verdi, as we know, placed the A key exactly at 432 Hz. He did this because this tuning is ideal for opera voices. Jamie Buttorff, sound researcher, found out that some Tibetan monks use this tuning in their handmade instruments. Story goes that he put a CD with the Tibetan singing bowls into his player and used a chord tuner to discover that the bowls were all harmonic to the 432 music scale. This musical tuning can be found throughout various religions and cultures of the ancient world. It seems that implementing it to the musical instruments was a good choice. Even today, many musicians report positive effects from returning to the 432 Hz, such as better audience response and a more laid-back feel to their performances. In 1984, Giuseppe Verdi wrote a letter addressed to the Music Commission of the Italian government. In the letter he writes, "Since France has adopted a standard pitch, I advise that the example should also be followed by us. And I formally requested that the orchestras of various cities of Italy, among them that of the Scala, to lower the tuning fork to conform to the standard French one. If the musical commission instituted by a government believes, for mathematical purposes, that we should reduce the 435 vibrations of the French tuning fork to the 432, the difference is so small, almost imperceptible to the ear, that I associate myself most willingly with this." According to Brain T. Collins, a musician and researcher, the standard pitch, A at 440 Hz, does not harmonize on any level that corresponds to cosmic movement, rhythm, or natural vibration. The greatest musicians, such as Mozart and Verdi, base their music on the natural vibration of A at 432 Hz. It is true that it is only 8 vibrations per second different from the standard tuning, but this small difference seems to be remarkable to our human consciousness. There is a growing musical and metaphysical movement for recovering optimal integrity in the music industry and spirituality through the 432 Hz tuning. In April of 2008, Deutsche journalist Richard Husken founded the Back to 432 Hz committee, claiming that this original tuning was used in ancient cultures and is found on antique instruments like the Stradivarius violin. According to Richard Husken, music tuned to 432 Hz is softer and brighter, giving greater clarity and it easier on the ears. Many people experience more meditative and relaxing states of body and mind when listening to such music. The natural musical pitch of the universe gives a more harmonic and pleasant sound than 440 Hz. 432 Hz seems to work on the heart chakra, the feeling, and therefore could have a good influence on the spiritual development of the listener. The fact is that the 432 sequence appears throughout history. It's a mystery of our days. And in the next chapter, I will explore to the deep history and to the work of one of the great scientific minds ever to live, Nikola Tesla. Until then, take care.